I don't know. I mean, based on television, I would say not particularly, because those children look very hungry. Some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that.
Based on television, says the man with access to the world's finest intelligence products. But it is notable, Donald Trump earlier today in one of his most significant breaks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as outrage grows across the globe over the starvation of Palestinians amid Israel's months-long blockade of the Gaza Strip. Deaths from famine have been rising, with humanitarian experts warning that the situation has reached a tipping point. More than 63 Palestinians have died this month from starvation, including a 5-month-old baby who died on Friday after not being able to get baby formula due to the blockade. That's according to reporting in the Washington Post. Amid massive international pressure, Israel said it would allow countries to airdrop food into Gaza starting yesterday. However, the UN called it, quote, a drop in the ocean, and aid groups are urging that Israel instead remove its blockade and allow sufficient aid into the region. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has sparked backlash in Israel, with Israelis taking to the streets, holding pictures of starving children in Gaza to protest the blockade. The New York Times reporting this, quote, some prominent Israelis have also raised alarms. Ehud Olmert, a former prime minister, decried what he called the, quote, cruel and criminal killing of civilians and the starvation of Gaza as a government policy. Moshe Yaalon, a former military chief and defense minister, has warned for months of ethnic cleansing. Yair Golan, a former deputy chief of the military and leader of the Democrats, a left-leaning opposition party, caused a furor when he said the government was killing babies as a hobby. And two leading Israeli human rights groups today saying Israel's war in Gaza amounts to genocide. Joining our coverage is International Rescue Committee's Vice President of Emergencies and Humanitarian Action, Bob Kitchen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Tell us what is happening right now in Gaza.
Well, the situation is spinning out of control, as you said. There is 1 in 5 children in Gaza City have been surveyed in the last few days as being acutely malnourished. That's a stark data point in and of itself. But what's more concerning is that that's triple the number of 4 weeks ago. So the situation is spinning out of control very, very rapidly. The thing to keep in mind is that once the world is capable of actually declaring famine, it's often way too late by that point. As we look back on the famine in 2011 in East Africa, by the point that famine was formally declared, 250,000 people had already died. That's where we stand right now. People are dying already, and we're not taking the action that's required.
What are those actions, and what are the hurdles to taking those actions?
What's frustrating is the actions that are required are really straightforward. It's opening the land borders and letting aid in. International humanitarian law calls for rapid and unimpeded delivery of aid, and that's what's required right now. There's tens of thousands of tons of food waiting in neighboring countries, with aid organizations like the IRC pleading for permission to bring it in. We're just not able to. We're not allowed to bring the aid in. That's all that's required. So what we're resulting to now as an international community is airdrops, which is the most ineffective and expensive route to deliver aid. All that needs to be done is open the land borders. What
impact, if any, does it have to have an American president perceived to be Netanyahu's closest ally on the world stage echo this very obvious observation? He said he saw it on television of starving children. Does that help? Does that aid? Does that pressure Netanyahu?
Well, it's a start. The U.S. government has held very close to the government of Israel over the 2 years and more of war. But words are insufficient at a time like this. Opening small aid depots are insufficient at a time like this. What it needs is a torrent of aid coming across all of the land borders distributed by the United Nations and organizations like the IRC, who are competent and experienced in operating in complex war zones like this. We do it all the time, all around the world.
The claim by Israel, their main claim for withholding aid is that Hamas has been confiscating aid. The United States, as you're just saying, you know, a close ally of Israel's and of Netanyahu's, the U.S. has debunked this claim on the part of Israel that Hamas is confiscating aid. Israel's military has also debunked that claim. What is sustaining the impasse? Why is it still so difficult to open up the blockades and get food to the children in Gaza?
What's stopping it is politics, which is outside of my lane. I'm a humanitarian, but it's politics of the day that means that the government of Israel has decided that they will not open those border crossings and instead are allowing what I think is an inhumane distraction to proceed, which is the airdrops into Gaza. We're talking small numbers of tons of food coming out of the air. It's incredibly inefficient and in some cases dangerous. We've already received reports of those as a result of the airdrops. It's politics that's what's stopping it. And frankly, it's politics and international pressure which will change the dynamic, open those land borders.